If this story touches your heart at any point, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It truly helps these stories reach more people who need a little hope today. Now stay with me, because what you're about to hear begins with a simple morning kindness that quietly changed several lives forever. Every morning at exactly 5:40 a.m., before the sun had fully decided whether it wanted to rise, Daniel Carter pushed his dented janitor's cart through the quiet halls of Jefferson Medical Center. The building smelled of disinfectant and burnt coffee, and the floors still held the chill of the night. Daniel liked that hour. It was calm, honest. No one pretended to be anything other than tired and human. As he mopped the lobby tiles, his thoughts were never far from his 8-year-old son, Noah, still asleep on a fold-out couch in their tiny apartment, waiting for his dad to come home with breakfast and a smile he practiced every day. Daniel was a single father, a widower, and a man who carried his grief the way some men carried medals, quietly, without complaint, and hidden beneath his uniform. He worked nights so he could be home when Noah woke up, and he never once told his son how close they sometimes were to losing that apartment. To Noah, his dad was the strongest man in the world. To the world, Daniel was just the janitor. One cold morning, Daniel noticed her for the first time near the hospital entrance. She stood stiffly, shifting a bundled infant from one arm to the other while struggling with a stroller that clearly had a mind of its own. Her military haircut peeked out from beneath a worn hoodie, and exhaustion lined her face in a way Daniel recognized instantly. He paused his cart and watched as the stroller wheel jammed against the curb. The baby began to cry. "Here, let me help," Daniel said gently, already stepping forward. She startled, then nodded quickly. "Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm running late." Daniel fixed the wheel in seconds and held the door open. The baby's cries softened as Daniel made a funny face, crossing his eyes just long enough to earn a small hiccuped laugh. For a brief moment, the woman's shoulders relaxed. "Your little one's got strong lungs," Daniel said with a smile. "She gets that from me," the woman replied, her voice tired but warm. "I'm Lieutenant Sarah Mitchell." "Daniel," he said. Just Daniel. That morning, he watched her disappear down the hallway, unaware that this small exchange would become part of his daily routine, and a turning point he never saw coming. From then on, Sarah and her baby, Emily, arrived every morning at nearly the same time. Daniel learned to time his work so he'd be near the entrance when she came in. At first, it was just small talk. Weather, coffee, how fast babies seem to grow. But as days turned into weeks, something deeper formed between them, an unspoken understanding shared by people who carried heavy responsibilities and very little rest. Daniel learned that Sarah was stationed nearby, juggling early shifts and childcare on her own while her husband was deployed overseas. He never asked where or how dangerous it was. He could hear it in her pauses. She learned that Daniel had lost his wife to illness and that Noah was the reason he kept moving forward. They didn't trade pity. They traded strength. Sometimes, Sarah arrived flustered, eyes red from crying, baby refusing to settle. On those mornings, Daniel would quietly take Emily while Sarah signed in. He'd walk the length of the lobby, humming an old tune he used to sing to Noah when the world felt too heavy. Emily always calmed down. Always. "I don't know how you do that," Sarah once whispered, watching in amazement. Daniel shrugged. "Babies know when they're safe." There were mornings Daniel brought an extra muffin from the cafeteria and slipped it into Sarah's hand without a word. Other mornings, Sarah brought coffee for Daniel, insisting she'd grabbed an extra by accident. Neither of them spoke about money, but both understood the language of survival. What Daniel didn't know, what he never imagined, was that Sarah Mitchell wasn't just a lieutenant. She was the daughter of Admiral Catherine Mitchell, one of the most respected and feared leaders in the Navy. Sarah had spent her entire life trying to step out of her mother's shadow, choosing to build her career without shortcuts or special treatment. Even her last name, she carried carefully, revealing it only when necessary. Admiral Mitchell, meanwhile, watched her daughter from a distance, worry stitched into every phone call. She knew the pressure Sarah lived under. She knew the danger. And on a rare visit to the base hospital one morning, she decided to surprise her daughter. That same morning, Daniel noticed Sarah looked different, tense, distracted. Emily was fussy, and Sarah's hands trembled as she adjusted the baby's blanket. "You okay?" Daniel asked softly. "My mom's visiting," Sarah said, forcing a smile. "She's a lot." Daniel chuckled. Aren't they all? Sarah laughed despite herself, then hurried inside, unaware that her mother had already entered through another door. Admiral Catherine Mitchell walked the hospital halls with authority etched into every step. Conversations hushed as she passed. Doctors straightened. Officers snapped to attention. She acknowledged them politely, but her eyes scanned for her daughter. She found her instead in the lobby, standing beside a janitor. From across the room, the Admiral froze. Sarah was laughing, her shoulders relaxed in a way Catherine rarely saw. The baby, her granddaughter, was calm, content in the arms of a man in a worn uniform who rocked her gently, whispering something that made her smile. Catherine watched silently as Daniel handed Emily back and adjusted the stroller strap with the care of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Sarah's eyes shone with gratitude. "Thank you, Daniel," Sarah said. "Really. I don't know what I'd do without you in the mornings." "You're doing just fine," Daniel replied. "You're stronger than you think." The Admiral felt something tighten in her chest. Later that day, Catherine requested Daniel's name from hospital administration. She learned everything: his work schedule, his record, his history. She learned about Noah. She learned about the nights Daniel worked double shifts to keep the lights on. The next morning, Catherine waited near the entrance. Daniel almost dropped his mop when he saw her. He recognized the insignia immediately. He stood straighter than he had in years. "Sir, ma'am, Admiral," he stammered. At ease, Catherine said gently. "You must be Daniel." "Yes, ma'am. I've been told you've been helping my daughter," she said, studying him closely. Daniel swallowed. "Just being kind, ma'am. Anyone would." Catherine shook her head slowly. "Not everyone would. And not everyone does." She reached into her pocket and handed him a folded piece of paper. Daniel hesitated before taking it. "It's a recommendation," she said. "For a facilities supervisor position. Better pay. Better hours." Daniel stared at it, stunned. "Ma'am, I didn't help Sarah for this." "I know," Catherine replied. "That's why you deserve it." Tears burned Daniel's eyes, but he blinked them back. "Thank you," he whispered. From that day forward, Daniel's life began to change. The new position meant fewer night shifts. More breakfasts with Noah. More time to heal. Sarah continued to greet him every morning, but now with a knowing smile that said they'd always share this chapter. Years later, Noah would ask his father how he learned to be so strong. Daniel would smile and say, "By helping someone when I didn't have much to give, and learning that kindness always comes back." If this story reminded you that even the smallest acts can change lives, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. You never know who needs to hear this today, and your support helps us keep sharing stories that matter.